Welcome back to Top Dog Tips. Thanks for joining us for this video on what to do if your dog eats plastic. Oh no, your dog ate plastic. What should you do? No, it's not okay to casually hope everything will be all right. Not that I'm saying you should panic, but it would certainly help if you do something quickly. Dogs can't and shouldn't digest plastic. If you notice your dog eating small pieces of plastic, you're gonna be lucky if it passes through the back end. But if it's a large piece, oh boy, that's going to be a problem. The urge for our dogs to eat non-edible items is called pica. It's most likely pica if your dogs eat and ingest, not just chew, these non-edible items. According to Dr. Amber Karwacki of Heart and Paw in Philadelphia, if the non-food item gets stuck in the stomach or intestines, you can see vomiting, decreased appetite, and pain in the abdomen. Excessive drooling as well as gagging can be caused if a foreign material is caught in the throat. So make sure to do these things if you see or suspect that your dog ate plastic. Number 1, remove any plastic that's left in your dog's mouth. If your dog is still chewing, that means there's plastic left in his mouth. Remove that immediately. Number 2, determine how much plastic your dog ate. Now, this is important to know. How much plastic did he eat? You can check it from the piece that they chewed on. If you know the size of plastic that your dog ate, maybe the vet might be able to get him to regurgitate it. He can even instruct you over the phone on how you can help your dog throw up the plastic. But if not, surgery might occur, especially if it turns out to be a big piece. Do not try to make your dog vomit on your own without an expert's guidance, as you may cause more damage than good. Number 3, is your dog choking? Look for signs of choking. Is your dog hacking? Is he pawing his mouth and nose? Is he sneezing? It's also possible he inhaled smaller pieces of plastic. Not likely, but still possible. If he is showing signs of choking, take him to the emergency room immediately. Number 4, check your dog's posture. If your dog swallowed the plastic for quite a while now and you can see him hunkering down or acting like he's straining to poop, that might indicate a stomach blockage. However, if you see him standing just about right and he seems like himself, then you shouldn't panic too much. Not that you shouldn't bring him to the vet if that's the case, you still should, especially if you're sure that he ate plastic. As I said in the beginning, it's not okay to assume it's going to be fine. Number 5, check for breathing issues. This could be another sign that your dog is choking or that a piece of plastic is causing a blockage in his airways. You may see your dog panting more heavily than usual, excessive movement in his body while breathing, or breathing with his mouth open. Number 6, go to the vet. Whichever of the steps you do first, the bottom line is see your vet. If you can call them without prior notice, that's even better. They can guide you further on how you can give first aid to your dog. If not, rush your dog to the emergency room because this is an emergency. I know sometimes you're just not sure if he really ate plastic. You don't want to make the unnecessary trip to the vet, and you definitely don't want to pay for a checkup if it ends up that he never actually ate any. However, if you see him not eating properly or throwing up, there's a chance that something serious is occurring. He might be having an intestinal blockage, for example. So before coming into that scenario, it's really better to have him checked for nothing than wait for something serious to happen. So what would happen if your dog eats plastic? Look, I'm not going to baby you and say everything's going to be all right. Your dog ate plastic. If he starts to choke, show signs of abdominal pain, throw up, rush him to the vet right away. Now, if he shows these symptoms, even though he ate only a small piece like a wrapper or a bottle top, still take him to the vet. Why, you might ask? Because if that piece is sharp, it can damage his insides and his digestive system as it moves through his digestive tract. Some objects, if they're big and sharp enough, can even puncture your dog's lungs or any of his other organs. All of these can result in your dog needing surgical intervention. As dog owners, we wouldn't want it to come to surgery, would we? So what's going to happen at the vet? The first thing your vet's going to do is evaluate your dog immediately, followed by a series of tests to determine where the object is and how big the object is. The vet might even use a barium swallow, where they'll have your dog swallow a chalky drink as they take an x-ray of his throat. Endoscopy could be another option too. If the plastic is small, your vet will likely try to induce vomiting or give laxatives to make your dog vomit or poop the pieces out. But if the plastic doesn't move down or out and the dog starts vomiting, the vet will be on hand to take him to surgery immediately. Timing is everything when it comes to a pet ingesting a foreign object such as plastic. This is because a blockage in the gut can cut off the blood supply to specific organs within a matter of hours. And yes, this is a matter of life or death. If your dog ends up in surgery, first, I know it's stressful, and not to mention the cost, but it is what it is. Once your dog has undergone surgery or the vet has removed the plastic, he will prescribe antibiotics for the dog to prevent any infection from developing. Your vet will also ask you to help your dog be calm and quiet for a few days. He's going to need rest to recuperate after a stressful situation. If your dog damaged his intestines, your vet would give instructions on his water and food intake. I'm sure you're also wondering why your dog eats plastic anyway. There are a couple of reasons why our dogs eat plastic or non-edible objects. According to the Humane Society of the United States, dogs and even cats eat things they're not supposed to because they aren't getting certain nutrients in their diet. It can also be their way to cope with stress or anxiety. The reason could be medical, like a nutritional imbalance or endocrine disease, or behavioral. According to Dr. Karen Collier of St. Francis Veterinary Center of South Jersey, stress, boredom, and anxiety, particularly separation anxiety, may cause a dog to be destructive and ingest things such as bedding, items of clothing, or items from the trash. However, some dogs just really have a big appetite. Whatever they can get their paw on, they treat it as food. Puppies chew, especially when they're teething. Remember, there's a lot of plastic stuff in our homes that our dogs might eat. Just think of the plastic bottles, food containers, candy wrappers, milk jugs, bottle caps, all of that stuff. Even your dog's own stuff, water bowls, toys, the list goes on and on. How can we stop our dogs from eating plastic? I know that rushing your dog to the vet because of an emergency is traumatic. So how do we stop it from happening again? Number one, give them chew toys. Give your dog chew toys, but not just any chew toy because some of these are also made of plastic. Make sure it's an indestructible one. This will make them occupied, happy, and give them mental and physical exercise too. However, if your large dog managed to chew one of these toys up, replace it immediately the moment you see any pieces breaking. My tip is to use the larger, giant toys for big dogs. My dogs are all medium sized, so they find toys meant for larger dogs more challenging. The bonus is that they don't wear out the toys as fast as the others. Number two, get your compulsive chewers some training. Is your dog a compulsive chewer or does he suffer from an eating behavior? They might need some behavioral special training to relieve the stress that can cause anxious behavior. Regardless of what your dog's reason is for chewing on plastic and other foreign objects, you can train your dog that picking up non-food things that aren't his toy is a no-no. Dr. Collier also advises that for dogs with separation anxiety, owners should provide training and exercise. It's also important to ensure that high-energy dogs have appropriate outlets for that energy. Secondly, we eliminate or limit the pet's access to those items we don't want them to eat. So eliminate your dog's access. Which brings us to my next solution. Number three, plastic is an environmental nightmare, so cut it out. It isn't easy to make broad generalizations about plastic. This is because it takes so many different forms, and sure, they really help make our lives easier. However, plastic is indigestible in any form. So save yourself the stress, anxiety, and money by ensuring at all times that plastic never becomes part of your dog's diet. Do something drastic for your dog and cut the plastic. Still have some questions about your dog's unfortunate plastic consumption? I might have the answers in this part of the video. What happens if your dog eats plastic? Your dog may pass plastic through his poop. You may also find yourself cleaning up dog vomit with plastic in it shortly after he ingests the plastic. But these are the best case scenarios. It's always up in the air as to whether your dog will have a foreign body obstruction or not. So if you suspect that this is the case, take him to a veterinarian immediately. You never want to leave intestinal obstruction untreated. Can eating plastic kill a dog? Sadly, yes. Eating plastic can kill a dog, even a healthy dog. Luckily, you have ample opportunity to prevent this from happening. The critical thing to remember is that your dog's digestive system cannot process plastic. If your dog swallows any plastic objects, he has to excrete them in one way or another, but that depends on the size of the plastic. If your dog eats a larger piece, he may have to undergo surgery. You should also not assume that your dog is okay if he seems normal after eating plastic. Nobody knows what's happening inside his body until you have him checked by the vet. How long does it take for a dog to pass plastic? If your dog swallowed a plastic object, it would be in his intestines within about 2 hours. At this point, you can't get your dog to vomit the plastic back up. In some cases, however, the dog poops the plastic without a problem most of the time. That is if the plastic pieces are small enough. Most food stays for about 4 to 10 hours in your dog's stomach as they get processed inside. That's a long time to wonder what the plastic may be doing in his body, so it's better to take him to the vet immediately. How can you tell if your dog has a blockage? As mentioned, the most significant risk with a bored dog that eats plastic is bowel obstruction or blockage. Because of this, you need to be alert for the symptoms. One sign is repetitive vomiting. Others include abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, weakness, whining, and hunching. Your dog may also not be able to hold any water down, which leads to dehydration. If you notice any of these symptoms, take your dog to the vet and tell him that your dog ate some soft plastic. He'll check your dog's stomach and may run tests for a foreign object in the digestive system. Remember that if your dog has a blockage, he's likely going to need surgery. Will plastic dissolve in a dog's stomach? Sure, our dogs have strong stomachs, but that doesn't mean they can digest plastic. Their stomach acid can't dissolve plastics, not even soft ones. If your pup eats a plastic spoon, plastic bag, or another item, it will have to leave his body one way or another. Either he vomits it, eliminates it in his feces, or gets surgery. Otherwise, it will sit in his intestines and cause a perforation or blockage. How long can a dog survive with an intestinal blockage? If your dog has an intestinal blockage from a sandwich bag or something else, you must take care of it immediately. Left untreated, the complete obstruction will typically kill your dog in just 3 or 4 days. If the blockage is partial, then your dog might live up to 3 or 4 weeks without treatment. The symptoms are also more intermittent and less severe for partial blockages. The deadliness of a blockage is why it's so vital that you pay attention to what goes into your dog's throat. If you suspect a blockage based on your dog's symptoms, visit the vet immediately. He will provide veterinary advice to minimize the amount your dog suffers and treat him. How much does it cost to remove a bowel obstruction in a dog? The cost to remove your dog's bowel obstruction depends on the situation. Expect to pay at least $800. You could pay up to $7,000 or more if there's a more complicated situation or in certain high-cost living areas. These costs should include all exams and surgery, including anesthesia, hospitalization, and the operating room use. So here's what you need to know if your dog ate plastic. Our dogs eat plastic because they don't know any better, but we dog parents do. So if you're listening to this only as a cautionary tale, then do what you can to not let this happen. But if things are already said and done, don't blame yourself. There are things that you can do to save your dog from an unfortunate situation. Check out our extensive article on what to do if your dog eats plastic, as well as many other health issues that you may come across with your pet on our website at topdogtips.com. If you learned something from this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, family, and fellow pet owners. If you like this video, you can also subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all of the tips and tricks that we share for pet parents and pet lovers. You can also subscribe to our email newsletter for daily tips and tricks in raising healthy, happy dogs. Thanks for watching.